Ethan was the first to break off from the group. He said he'd go check the old classroom, room 3A, where he remembered walking by earlier that day. Outside, the light had faded completely. The fluorescent lamps flickered on and off, each flash echoing with a faint click. Click, like an irregular heartbeat. Ethan's footsteps echoed down the empty corridor, long and hollow. The classroom door opened with a long, dragging creak. Inside, everything was covered in dust. The air smelled of rotting wood and rusted metal. At the far end of the room stood an old mirror, its dark wooden frame split by a deep diagonal crack, leaning slightly against the blackboard. Ethan pointed his flashlight toward it. The glare bounced back sharply, stinging his eyes. At first, he only saw his reflection, but then the reflection didn't blink. He blinked once, twice, but the reflection kept staring, motionless. A chill ran through his stomach. He took a step back. Suddenly, in the mirror, the reflection's head tilted up and its mouth stretched unnaturally wide, a smile that split open all the way to the ears. A thin line of blood dripped from the corner of its mouth. Ethan trembled, shining the light again, and that's when he saw her. Miss Scarlet. Her black hair hung in tangled, wet clumps, covering half her face. Her eyes were rolled white, only faint black pupils visible. The red dress clung to her thin frame, torn and stained with dark, dried patches. Her chest rose and fell as if still breathing, her neck tilted to one side, a rope mark visible deep on her skin. "Ethan," her voice rasped, as though torn from a slit throat. "It's time to restore my honor." The mirror began to tremble. Cracks spread across its surface like a spider web. Ethan screamed and stumbled backward, but the reflection of Scarlet lunged forward, straight through the glass. The mirror exploded. Hundreds of shards flew through the air, scattering the flashlight beam into bursts of white light. One piece sliced deep into Ethan's neck. Blood pulsed out in rhythm with his heart. Before he collapsed, he caught a glimpse of a shard lying beside his face, and in it, Scarlet's smiling reflection, whispering softly, "Be honest." Then, silence. Only the sound of blood dripping onto the old wooden floor. Ryan heard Ethan's scream echo from afar, but the sound was quickly swallowed by the darkness. He ran down the corridor, breath ragged, until he reached the indoor pool, a place abandoned for years. The glass doors were fogged and cracked. Moonlight filtered through holes in the ceiling, shimmering faintly on the still, cold water. The air reeked of rotting chlorine. Leaves and grime floated on the surface. Ryan pointed his flashlight toward the pool. The light flickered weakly, and then he saw a faint figure drifting under the water. "Who's there?" he called out softly. No answer. Only a whisper rising from somewhere, so faint it could have been the wind. "Help me, please. Come down." He leaned closer to the edge. The water rippled, and a pale hand shot up, grabbing his ankle, yanking hard. Ryan fell into the pool. The flashlight slipped from his hand and went dark. The water was ice cold. In the black depths, he saw the shape of a woman crawling toward him, her hair floating like seaweed, her red dress wrapping around her like vines. She opened her eyes, glowing faintly like dim lamps beneath the surface. She seized his throat, forcing him down. He kicked and struggled, feeling invisible hands all around him, dragging him deeper. His lungs burned. His chest screamed for air. He managed to break free, gasping, and clambered onto the edge. Coughing violently, he looked back. The pool was still, empty. Ryan switched on his backup flashlight. The beam swept across the water, and there she was, hanging above the pool, her neck tilted, the rope from the ceiling creaking softly. Her eyes stared straight at him. Do you know how lies can kill, Ryan? He screamed and bolted for the door, but every door in the room slammed shut, all at once. His frantic breathing echoed through the chamber. Snap! The rope broke. Miss Scarlet fell into the water with a heavy splash. Dark water splattered across the floor. Ryan froze. A pale hand emerged from the pool, then a shoulder, then a face. She crawled onto the tiles on all fours like a spider, skin slick and bluish, dripping with black water. Her head tilted, her smile torn wide to the sides, blood seeping from both corners of her mouth. He stumbled backward, trembling, unable to speak. Be honest, Ryan. She lunged. The last footage captured by the security camera showed a man falling backward and a red shadow crawling over him. Lily was the only one left. She found the lost phone beneath the old staircase, its screen shattered but still glowing faintly. When she looked up, all the doors were shut. No sound from her friends. No wind. Nothing. The ceiling lights flickered, went out, then came back dim, then died completely. She stood in the hallway, hearing only her own heartbeat. Then the floor began to tremble. A sharp crack echoed. The tiles bulged, splitting apart. From the gap, a pale, bony hand with long black nails clawed its way out, scraping the floor. Next came a mess of black hair, and then a face. Miss Scarlet emerged from the ground, as though born from the darkness itself. Her hair was matted and wet, covering half her face. Blood trickled from her mouth down her neck. Her eyes were wide open, the whites clouded, threaded with red veins. Lily, she laughed, her voice echoing through the walls. Granddaughter of the man who ruined my life. Each step she took cracked the tiles beneath her feet. Her neck tilted as she walked, making crack sounds like breaking bones. I died because of lies. Now it's your turn. Lily screamed and ran down the hall. The door at the end wouldn't open. She turned. Scarlet was crawling across the ceiling, upside down, eyes bulging, mouth stretched wide, hair dangling like dripping strands of blood. She dropped down, her hand scraping along the wall, leaving a long red streak. Lily ran desperately, smashing a window, and jumped from the second floor. The fall knocked the air out of her lungs. Blood seeped from her arm. Her legs throbbed in pain. But she forced herself up and ran from the building. When she looked back one last time, through the broken window, a pale face was watching her. lips curved into a blood-stained smile. Lily couldn't sleep for weeks. She returned to the library, searching for answers, and discovered a horrifying truth. Ethan, Ryan, and she herself were the grandchildren of the 3 boys who had falsely accused Miss Scarlet 20 years ago. And the curse had never ended. On the final night, Lily dreamed she was back in the school. In her dream, Miss Scarlet stood on the podium, red dress, wet hair, torn lips. She smiled, the smile stretching to her cheeks, her black eyes bottomless, without whites. "Be honest now." Laughter echoed throughout the classroom. The windows slammed shut. Chalk began moving on its own across the blackboard. When Lily turned around, the teacher was right behind her. A cold hand rested on her shoulder, and the world shattered into darkness. The next morning, they found another girl's body near the fence of Ridgewood High. On the blackboard of classroom 3A, the old words had appeared again, written fresh in bright white chalk. "Be honest now." No one knows who wrote it. No one dares to enter again. But sometimes, on misty nights in Salem, if you pass by, you might still see a flickering light in the old classroom, and the silhouette of a woman in a red dress, smiling a smile that never fades.